it demanded a lot, and I would have definitely given a lot of my time to it. But I realized that maybe this might not be something I would want to invest in a long, because it seemed like a long-term investment kind of job.
Yeah.
And I realized there are other people who deserve this position more than me, and I should be out there doing something else.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Way Podcast with your host Sajid Marwar. Today we have a very special guest. We have Adnan Khan of FilmByAdnan, a fellow Rotman graduate. And today we're here to talk about his journey post graduating and how he began to start his own business.
Yeah.
So we'll just get a short introduction from our guest today.
Awesome. Thank you, Sajin. Wait, I said that right. Your name right.
Sajid.
Sajin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sajin. We probably should have gone through this before
Yeah, fair
before
enough. Fair
recording it.
enough.
No, but thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm Adnan, and for namesake, also my company's name is Film by Adnan. And it is a video strategy agency. So it's what we focus on is creating videos that deliver results to local businesses. I thought I had this passion for videography since I was growing up, and I always made videos for fun, creatively. Is that a word?
Creatively?
Creatively
There you go.
and aesthetically, um, for the sake of just shits and giggles. Can I swear?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
for the sake of shits and giggles. But right. And then when I graduated from Rotman, UFT, I worked full time for 2 months and then realized this is probably not my thing, and I could probably find a way to combine my passion with stuff that I learned from Rotman in terms of strategy. And then that's when I came up with this entire entity, which is a video strategy agency. So FAQ videos, client testimonials. We also have social media packages that like I tend to now I'm kind of straying away from slowly. That was just to get my foot in the door,
Mm-hmm.
but just a bunch of different kinds of strategic videos. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I remember seeing it for the first time. I was like, because you TA'd in a couple of my classes with Nez Blackburn, who was on previously.
Yeah, I'm also she was also a guest, and she's an amazing professor. Yeah, and then when I left my job to help pay the bills at the beginning and stuff, I signed up for more TA courses. I was a teaching assistant at UFT since my third year at University of Toronto, and I loved being a student of Inez. And then I told Inez, I was like, I want to help students. I want to help students the way you help them. Like, let me help you. And she was just so receptive, and she
Yeah.
was just like, yeah, come on in. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember like you coming in class, giving us advice, and obviously like helping us through our projects and stuff. And I remember seeing your shift. I don't know. I don't remember when you shifted. You said 2 months into your post grad.
Well, 3 months actually. Sorry, 3 months. June, July, August. Right. So August. Yeah, August. In August, like mid-August. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what did you work previously? Are you allowed to say or?
Yeah, I'm allowed to
Yeah.
say, yeah. Well, I'm trying to see if I can get back with them in terms of them being my client now. But I mean,
Sure. Sure.
one can dream. Uniqlo.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah. Uniqlo. Uh, I was their UMC,
Mm-hmm.
Uniqlo manager
Mm-hmm.
candidate, and I was supposed to go into their marketing much later down the road. Uh, and basically, there was a lot happening, and it is an amazing position. And it was just, and then, but it demanded a lot, and I would have definitely given a lot of my time to it. But I realized that maybe this might not be something I would want to invest in a long, because it seemed like a long-term investment kind of job.
Yeah.
And I realized there are other people who deserve this position more than me. And I should be out there doing something else. And at that time when I left, I wasn't even sure I was going to start my own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting position because like I feel very I relate to that in some way, now that I've just graduated, I'm looking for a job and looking
Hmm.
for the last, months leading up to graduation and now 1 month post graduation. And I do the podcast. I'm part of like this art thing with my friends, my roommate as
Hmm.
well. And it's a really interesting spot to be in. This is what I guess this is what people talk about when you're like in your 20s just trying shit out and you just don't know whether it's gonna work or not, but it's about just going for it at the end of the day.
Correct.
Yeah. And what made you said it was the whole long-term nature of the job
Yeah.
that really like pushed you towards
Starting my own thing.
yeah.
Well, I mean, one good thing is that I had my parents' support.
Yeah.
They saw like they're not in the country, but they through video calls they could just tell that I was not having a good time.
Mhm.
And then I found out some stuff that I'm not gonna delve into too much, because I think that might be confidential. But what I can say is that like at Uniqlo, I found out that where I'd wanted to be would be much later down the road,
Mhm.
and probably in my mid to end 20s.
Yeah.
And it was just like sort of something, but other people were willing to give in that investment. Like Uniqlo is amazing, but you kind of have to give your um heart and soul to it. Like your
Mhm.
identity itself becomes Uniqlo. And some people are okay with that, but I just realized that I kind of wanted to have a separate life. And then just my dad, sorry, I digress. My dad and my mom were supporting me to dip. And then when I told my dad about starting this own thing, because while I was like leaving, I there was a local business that needed videos, like a video for a special customer appreciation event.
Mhm.
And it was a business right next to the restaurant. And then I shot it for them. And I did some calculations and I was like, yo, I could probably let me give it a shot. Like I could probably
Mhm.
do something with this. I didn't know what I was gonna do. And my dad was completely game. He
Yeah.
was My mom and dad were completely game. They were under one condition. It was not even about the money. My dad was just like, bro, your 20s are the most like it's supposed to be your struggling years,
Yeah.
right? And that's the whole fun of it. Like you don't we're supposed to struggle in our 20s, and the one thing he's like, don't worry so much about money. Like you'll find a way eventually. But the one thing I don't give a shit about money. The one thing I care about is that you're not wasting your time. Like if you're gonna do your own business, that means you have flexibility of your own time, right? But if I find out that you're in your bedroom on your phone scrolling through TikTok like for 3 hours in the morning before
Yeah.
starting to do any work, then that's like bullshit. Like I can't give you time.
Mhm.
So like as long as you're using your time, and I just kept that as my mantra,
Yeah.
where I was just like, okay, like every second that I have. Well, I mean, also there's like also work life balance, which is much better than Uniqlo right now, thankfully. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you know that Confucius quote. I don't want to be too cliche. I feel like I'm being too cliche and being too
It's okay, man.
like
I mean,
want to be inspirational. Where I'm struggling right now as well. But it's just like the Confucius quote where it's like choose a job that you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life.
mhm.
So that's pretty cool. That was actually a question in a well, I can't say that. It must have been a question in an exam. I'm not gonna say which exam, but that we were marking. I just really liked it. But
That's funny.
yeah, good stuff. Like yeah, and then I did from Uniqlo, started this, and just gave it my all. Was not earning anything for
Yeah.
like the first 2 months, or was earning like pennies for the first 2 months, just trying to develop relationships. And fortunately, I had UFT as a TA position, which was super helpful.
Yeah.
And I'll still continue to do it at a reduced capacity. I don't need to do it as much anymore. But yeah,
Mhm. Mhm. That's really interesting. I'm glad your parents supported you like that,
yeah,
like, especially in our cultures, right? Like,
exactly.
it's not very common for them to support and, like, even, like, for my family, they're very supportive of me in a lot of different ways.
Hmm.
And, as an immigrant family, everyone's a business owner and then their children are encouraged to get, my dad got post-grad, my mom has post-grad,
Right.
but at the end of the day, both my parents have that kind of business mindset because that's what they grew up with, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Exactly.
like they're a little bit, of course, they're cautious, just like all parents will be,
Right.
but they're not over. I'm glad that they weren't like no. They're like
Yeah.
okay, but you need to do it the right way. Don't be
Exactly.
stupid about it. Do this and try to get something that supports you. You don't have to. You don't have to go 100% in. You can go 80% and keep something on the side that supports you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be broke.
You don't have to be broke. You don't have to. And it's not like I was like thinking. I was like, hey, I could. I remember this one month I just couldn't. Like I was a couple. I was about like $800 less on my rent due, or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, before that came up, I was gonna be like, okay, I'll just work a shift at a cafe, like at not a cafe, like at like the local like grocery store.
Yeah.
I forgot what the market was called, but it was like a little grocery. I'll work like a part-time shift there. But I knew if I did that, then I would have to let go of certain like video strategy clients,
Mm-hmm.
certain clients who were not even paying as much, but I wanted to develop relationships with. And when my dad heard that, my dad was like, "Are you stupid? Like, what is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
Like, my dad was like, "I had to fight for bread and butter so that you don't have to fight for it. Let me like just take some money, take this
Mm-hmm.
800, whatever you need, and go attend to your clients. Don't waste your time." Like, I mean, I know people are like, it's good that you hustle and do your own thing, but I'm just glad I have my dad's support to the fact that I didn't have to let go of those clients. And I'm
Yeah.
so fortunate that I was able to generate more leads from those specific clients. Had I done
Yeah.
that shift, I realized had I done that shift, I would have lost those clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where I'd be right now. But yeah, I mean, it's just stuff like that, which is like, which I'm like so glad they're so supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when it comes to developing the whole client relations and stuff, what was that like in the beginning, like in the first few months of like just transitioning out of your job and into your business?
It was like walk ins. I just walk. Like, I was like, what's the lowest barrier to entry? There's like restaurants and cafes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Granted, they're low margin, they're like
Yeah.
low profit margin. They already have so much. They have a lot of other prevailing costs,
Yeah.
overheads, and stuff that they don't really have a budget for marketing. So I just walk in, and first before I'd go in, I'd see their stuff online. And I'm like, can I make a better video than this? And usually, most of the time, fortunately, I can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually just in terms of like they don't really even post videos. And I walk in, and then I'd be like, I would say like, hey, I could make better videos than you guys right now on the house. Let me make you like a free Instagram reel.
Yeah.
I'd make a free Instagram reel and stuff, and they think I'd be some influencer, so they'd like I'd want like a collaboration post or like my name on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, this is like for you. Like, that's the one thing I had to curb. I'm like, I'm a video strategy agent. Like, these videos are yours, your property, your entity. Like,
Yeah.
it is posted by you guys, and it's just for my portfolio's sake. And
Yeah.
they love the idea of free, obviously. And then I made it, and then they they instantly loved the video. They posted it, and it would naturally, like, when a better produced video, well, before, compared to what they post before, it would, even if it does a bit better than their previous post, they're so happy. And then they'd call
Mm-hmm.
me back in, and then we discuss contracts from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I found that same kind of success with like when we do stuff for Mutual,
Hmm.
which is the I guess the art startup. I guess we're technically a startup, but
Which one? CR? What'd you say? Oh, what?
Mutual, we're like a startup.
Right, right.
I guess technically we haven't actually incorporated yet, but
No, that's fine. That's good.
um
What do you
the
guys do?
so basically it was actually started by my two high school friends when they
Mm-hmm.
went to OCAD. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
they saw that they got no support or very little support from the university to help further their name and give them resources to become, because they're both illustrators, right? It's a field that
Oh,
is
okay.
already very difficult to get into. Like any field,
Right.
connections are everything, and then they
Right.
weren't really
Exactly.
helping.
Exactly.
So what they decided to do was, you know what, all these art markets, nobody's letting us in, right? These small student shows, they're just doing the same people over and over
Right.
again.
They keep
So
bringing
let's
it up.
just do our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, because I was with them along the way. This is before I joined. Just as a friendly support. They started out in 1 month. They planned an event from scratch that had like I think 35 vendors and 35 vendors and around 300 attendees over 2 days.
Damn.
And it was a really big success for a short amount of time because
Right.
we didn't. The big thing was we didn't charge,
Okay.
and we prioritized first timers
Good.
as well as variety of art, like all different art styles, from like your really cutesy stuff to like really intense dark
Complex.
things. Like it goes, we want to express the range of art. And then for the next event, they actually asked me to join
Mm-hmm.
because we want to, instead of just being a student group, turn this into something more than that,
Right.
past OCAD. And of course we're grateful for what OCAD does. It gives us the space, but that's kind of all they do is give
Right.
us a
Give
space.
the
They don't,
space.
right? So we want to expand to bigger, better events, and eventually be like the source for artists to like, what do I do? well, let's go to mutual, try to get into one of their events, see if I can, get support from them. Connections with manufacturers is what we're trying to do, and um, help them with professional brand collaborations. Like if we can make it's easier for a company to make the connection than an individual when they're first starting out. And we've been able to scale the event to last event we had 2,200 people come over 2 days. That was our third event, and the one before,
2,200?
yeah,
Where?
it was at OCAD in the Great Hall.
Okay.
Basically, it's a wide open space on the second floor.
And
So
that was your third event.
third event,
So
second
what?
event we had 1,500. So we
Right.
went from 300 to 1,500 to 2,200.
And was it still free?
Yeah, it was all free.
Okay.
We didn't charge for tables or anything back then. This next event we have coming up in September, we're experimenting with charging, and
Yeah.
people realize that we can bring in traffic and we run a decent event, so they're willing to pay. Like all of our vendors that are confirmed for this next event, they all paid their fees, and allows us to do a bigger and better
Yeah.
event, right? We don't have to worry about taking it out of our pocket and like
Exactly.
paying for posters and getting stuff made.
So did the vendors pay for fees as well before, or is the fourth event the first time they're going to be paying for
So this
fees?
is the first one they're going to be paying a tabling fee,
Okay, good.
and it's still like pretty low
Right.
in comparison. Like we're not charging over $100. Like most places charges over $100 for that kind of traffic
Mm-hmm.
for the 2 days, and because we're still trying our best to not. The whole point is that we're for art, by artists for artists, right? So we can't gouge these students on like um, their first time at these events.
Right.
Um,
But eventually, when you scale,
the goal is to keep the fee relatively low,
Mm-hmm.
but to have the events be like our major platform. We want the events to pay for themselves eventually.
Right.
Right now, we can't use all the funds
Mm-hmm.
for like other things. We have to use it for the event. That's like the only stipulation that the university has. But we're fine with that.
Right.
We're fine to using the tabling fee to make the event better. But we do have other contributions from outside people that are, who want to support us. So we can actually use that to like for the website development. We've had a
Right.
website like in development for a long time, but I can't really give too many details because we're kind of in the works of redoing everything. But we basically are trying to, because we see the trend. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of these standalone retail stores that have artist markets within them, where people rent out space and they just sell their merchandise there.
Yeah. Yeah. I
At
think.
a Union Station, there's a
Yeah. Yeah.
couple.
Yeah. 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 Like pop-ups.
Yeah, it's like a pop up store, but basically the people in there rotate, but the actual storefront stays there.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Like there's one in the Well called Mr. Surprise Toys.
Okay.
There's one at Union Station called Spare Time Market.
Uh-huh.
And we're seeing this kind of push towards like these smaller creators, and we're kind of lit the fire under our ass to like, oh shit, we have no money like compared to these guys. These guys have like a physical storefront in Union Station,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're trying to push forward on that front. Really push towards our ultimate goal a
To
bit
have a
faster.
physical storefront?
Maybe have
That'd
a
be
physical
amazing.
storefront. But our real goal is not necessarily that we want to diversify, of course, but it's hard for us to compete on every level at this stage because there's
Correct.
only 5 of us, like in total, running the
Okay.
whole thing. And that's like designing everything, making all the social media posts, interviewing guests, um, PR. Everything is just like how it is when you're running your own business. It's like you do basically everything, no matter what your
Yeah.
title is. But yeah, we're in that kind of initial growth stages. Like we don't have any money, but we don't have many expenses yet.
Also, I yawned 3 times. Sorry, I just didn't have my
No
I didn't have
worries.
my morning coffee.
No
So
worries, man.
sorry
No
about that.
worries.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're trying to really. This is something like that we want to pursue for a while. As long as we can do it, and maybe eventually be our full time gig.
Yeah, let me ask you a few things. How long has this been running for?
It was founded back in spring of 2023, so it's just over a year.
Okay.
Yeah,
And when did you join?
I joined in August of last year.
Okay, you joined August last year. Okay. And it's like so far so it was during your last year at uni as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. So second event was in first semester of
Mm-hmm.
a fourth year, and then sorry, yeah, and then third event was of second semester. So this year in
So
spring.
3 people right now?
We have five. We have five people on the
Okay.
managing team.
Okay.
We had some volunteers with us that were like less involved, but the problem is when you start as a student group and try to transition to like an actual company, people don't have the same mindset, right? And they're not getting paid.
Yeah, and you want to, yeah, exactly. And you kind of want to be careful with that and kind of want to compensate for the people's time.
Exactly. And we
Yeah.
understand like if they don't have that level of commitment because obviously we believe in it because we're putting
Yeah,
all of our time into it.
exactly.
But if they can't put the commitment, we don't want to like have them on the design team designing stuff if we expect them to like be part of the company for a long term, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, it's been going well. It's been going well. We've had some hiccups obviously along the way, like everything. Just
And you'll keep having hiccups, but that's good things because like hiccups are
mhm.
not too bad. It's just that like it just means that things are still happening.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
things are still happening. You're still trying to find a way to make it work. But that is incredible. That's crazy that you guys are transition. You've already transitioned from a student group to a. Well, eventually get a space at UFT, maybe.
that's what we're thinking. Like we've had a conversation. We always try to talk with local.
Mhm.
I think this is some of the problems that we're a little too nice sometimes
Mhm.
because we're trying to collaborate and support artists, but we don't realize that sometimes you shouldn't talk to everybody about things, like even if they're like, in the same mindset. Like we've talked to some other businesses and spawned like
Right.
how we can work together, potentially do a collab event, and then we realize like these guys are basically our competition. Like a lot of these people we're talking to,
Mhm.
and it made us realize like you know what, we don't need to go to these other people sometimes
Okay.
because like of course we don't want to be we're not like trying to be on bad terms. It's
Yeah.
just we realize that like let's focus on our own stuff, let's make
Sorry.
us.
Sorry. Who's basically the competition?
So like stores like Spare Time, for example, we talked to them directly.
Okay.
And
Who's
we
spare time?
Spare Time's the market in Union Station. Basically, they have their market section, which is their just they have their space full of the local artists selling their
Right.
stuff, running out like shelf space. And then they have their like their main thing, which is like a toy manufacturing, and they're the official distributor of Studio Ghibli here in Canada.
Shit.
So
Yeah.
they're like, that's why they have the money to literally they have two storefronts right next to each other in Union Station, like one store over.
Spare time. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, we've had a lot of the artists in there. We've had crossover. Like we know most of them have tabled at our event.
You should just go to their events and try to talk to the artists that come there.
Yeah, because they want to. The thing is, they want to start events, right? We talked to them about like maybe them being at because our next event, the Mutual Summer Expo, we want to really make it more professional, not just like a student event. We want it to be like if this was any event we went to outside of a university, it'd be like this is a quality event.
Right. Right.
So we're trying to have other attractions there that would go along with the theme. We're looking into sponsors and stuff.
Mhm.
Just the issue with that is like, okay, how would it? I understand from their perspective, right? We approach them with this like package, like what did they get out of it, right? They don't want to sell their retail stuff at our artist only space because they understand like it's not fair for them to come in and sell Studio Ghibli stuff next to like some guy who just started. You know,
Right.
it's just gonna
Right.
take all the
Right.
traffic from everyone else,
Mhm. Mhm.
which shows they're like minded. But I think it just showed how it gave us a perspective that we needed. I think that we're really the underdogs in this race,
Right.
so we need to try to accelerate what our goal of being that like connection. So furthering our connections as much as possible on the manufacturing side too, but also on the professional collaboration side. We already talked to some bigger brands. I don't want to say right now because it's not finalized yet,
Right.
but like eventually maybe working with brands like Uniqlo would be sick. Like since we have direct access to the local talent,
Mhm.
um, we would love them to go through us, right? Like
Okay.
so, like Uniqlo, for example, we approach Uniqlo like, hey, we have this collective of artists that are
Right.
under our name, and we'd love to do a collab thing. They have their Uniqlo T-shirts and stuff.
Exactly. They have
Right?
these. They do this monthly. Uniqlo kind of already has their own. It'd be kind of cool if you reach out there, but like they have their own thing where they just reach out to local artists and stuff and have their own UT shirts.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah.
yeah, I remember when I was tasked for the opening for Canada Day
Hmm.
in last year Canada Day Uniqlo in Ottawa. So over there, that's when Uniqlo partnered up with so many local Ottawa artists
Okay.
and had their stuff being sold in their stores. So it's good shit if you can get your stuff like if they can get their stuff, if you can get their stuff in your spaces.
Yeah, because we've had the problem of like, okay, why wouldn't they just jump over us and go to the artist?
Hmm.
So that's why our goal is to like they're not just on their own. If they want to utilize like our services and like really work with us, they're with us.
Yeah, you have to position yourself as a resource to them.
Yeah.
How are you gonna save them time?
Hmm.
Maybe you tell them that you don't have to go look for the artist. We have the artist for you.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
like let's be to be fair, there's a lot of artists, but there's a certain caliber that we look for at the event.
Mhm.
The artists for our events, we don't look for like people who would display in galleries and on the fine art side, right?
Mhm.
Because at these kind of events that are focused on merchandise, they won't do well. Like it's just a fact. And what we
Okay.
see in the past, we don't want to invite people to pay the table fee and then they don't sell anything, right?
Correct.
Um, so we push towards art that is transitionable to merchandising,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
still inventive, original. We focus on really original art. This next event, we're trying to shift away from fan
Right.
art. Um, and it's something that we're, I think we can position ourselves like when we go to these brands, like you don't have to search through everyone. We
Mhm.
have a group of artists that are all, starting out. And if you go, first of all, if you go to artists that are really established, you're not gonna buy their piece out for $1,000. Like they're gonna be charging $10,000 if you're working with Uniqlo. They know that you have the money to do that,
Yeah.
right? For example, we've had artists like Sam does arts.
Okay.
He's a YouTube like art educator, and he does a lot of cool stuff. And he's pretty big. He's got
Right.
like 2 million subscribers.
Damn.
And like for example, if you'd approach somebody like of his level, who is also a local Toronto artist, right? He would charge probably in the tens of thousands for a commission.
Okay.
Um, and our idea is not to just do a one-time thing. We want to because it becomes so transactional then, right? It's like Uniqlo goes to these people or like whatever company, right?
Right.
Whatever company goes to these artists and they say, I'm gonna buy your stuff. That's it.
Right.
And it ends there. There's no connection.
Right.
What we want to push for, like, okay, you have a certain license, you go for a license rather than a full buyout, which allows them to sell it in their stores, but
Mhm.
the artists eventually after a certain point can sell their own stuff.
Good.
They can keep their design,
Yeah.
and then maybe eventually they do these like they do with big brands. They
Yeah.
do a percentage deal
Okay.
where they're like, you know what, we get 90%, you get 10%, whatever, and we want to be the one to facilitate that because as a smaller
Okay,
artist,
so you're the middleman.
yeah, because as a smaller artist, like
You don't know how
it's
to
you don't know
negotiate how.
how to negotiate and you just don't have the same experience that we're trying to this is the experience we're trying to gain right now,
Yeah.
right, in
Correct.
this at
Correct.
this point in the state of the company. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that's our goal, but like who knows where we'll be. Like we thought we'd have like a website running, full manufacturing by now, but we realized that like things change so much, like in even a few months, right?
Exactly. And that's gonna continue to happen. Maybe you don't even know that. Maybe down the line, like the next month, everything's up and running. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes like you get more than you anticipated for.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've already, to be honest,
Yeah.
like
Okay. Good.
we like for the events, it's just been crazy.
Okay. Good.
Like we did not expect like sure the 300 that's a good solid amount for these kind of events because our following on Instagram is one thing about I was actually going to bring up this point earlier when you mentioned that you're not an influencer, right, to these local businesses. You say like you keep all the stuff and it's not my name on it. I'm not in the video with you filming
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah. As long, but we have this contract where I'm fully allowed to use use that material to promote my own,
Yeah.
like as a portfolio. Like I can,
Hmm.
which is I guess generally allowed.
No,
Like
that's
yeah, like
usually
we've
how it
made
works.
this
Yeah.
for our client. So yeah,
And what I think is so the reason why that's so successful versus the influencer thing, I think you might realize this too, is because it doesn't seem to me a lot of influencer collaborations seem so bad. Like they're so bad, they just don't align with the brand at all. And it's like sure, like you can make like they make these TikToks and stuff, but it's about to build organic traffic on social media is already so hard.
yeah, because it's that traffic that you get as a business is coming from that influencer's traffic, and
Mm-hmm.
then that's just one post, and then sure you get an augment of like what a couple hundred followers, but um there's no like what result do you gen I'm trying to like I'm not my like keep saying like a lot, but the results that I'm trying to get you is not just an oh more followers like
Mm-hmm.
well if we're talking about social media it's not just more followers but it's like okay let me solve your problems, what's going on, like what's happening in your business, and then we position the videos to help make those solutions for you. So
Yeah.
this person, there's this one Mexican restaurant, super sweet, she only spoke Spanish,
Yeah.
and like she was not very well versed, and we had to use her uh waiter as a translator between the two of us while
Mm-hmm.
securing a deal. And the issue she was having is that people come in for like it's a giant restaurant, it's beautiful on the inside, and every time people come in they're like wow this place is great, we couldn't tell it from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't tell that this like it looked like really normal from the outside, but when you go in it's super fancy.
Yeah.
So she wanted to solve that perception, and then she also said that people come in for the food, no one comes in for the drinks.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, then we make videos for that, or we make videos showcasing what happens inside, what the customer experience is like, certain events coming up, and then we like, okay, what's the story behind your restaurant, La Nayarita?
Yeah.
We that thing blew up, and that's when I realized I did not even expect to blow up, and I didn't even know Spanish. I got a fellow Rotman friend who
Mm-hmm.
was fluent in Spanish. I got her to help co-direct with me her the owner's brand story video, and
Yeah.
she told her story like I was a construction worker, and then I started my own business at like Jane and Finch, but now I have a big one at Queen West, and I struggled, blah blah blah. And that just resonated with so many people because it
Yeah.
was the story of that restaurant and became that story's branding, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not some influencer telling the story. It's not some collaborator coming in being like, oh, we like this is by us, by us, by us, and we did it for them. Like this is no, this is from La Nairita. This is them telling their story, and it became their brand aesthetic. And one thing's for sure is that when that blew up, I realized that like yeah, this is definitely a thing where like influencers are great. Maybe I might have this thing. I'm considering it. It's a thing later down the line. Concerned clients ask me where I might be adding influencer packages to my thing, but I told them it's not going to get you results, but it just acts as a middleman for me to get the influencer for them because now I'm in touch with a bunch of influencers. But with that being said, I am also straying away from social media now, fortunately. So social media reels is just a package now, and now it's just longer form videos for your website,
Mm-hmm.
for certain, it doesn't even have to be marketing anymore. It
Yeah.
could be training videos instead of hiring. So we're discussing this with one I'm actually meeting them today, with one place where instead of hiring a trainer every time to train someone, you
Yeah.
just show them an onboarding video. So you save
Mm-hmm.
so much more money. So
Yeah.
it's like efficiency in terms of that. So that's literally what I've been positioning myself in. um Good stuff, but like you were saying influencer stuff, like it's great if you're the like if you're the sole influencer, but you're not really
Yeah.
helping the business. It's just like transactional at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like good into the business's eyes because you got millions of followers, and sure it's good, it is good for that business as well, but it's not long lasting.
Yeah. And I feel like I've seen the results really vary a lot on the lower level when it comes to like smaller businesses.
Right.
Like sure these brands like, like let's say like a BetterHelp you hear in every podcast, right? Every video is sponsored by BetterHelp or like
Is that the mental
the
health?
online mental
Yeah,
health, right?
they have good advertisements.
Like see the reason why this is why I love podcasting, right?
Yeah.
Is because podcasting is actually the highest conversion rate for any ad read anywhere.
Okay.
Especially if it's read by the host. If it's read by the host and it's
Right.
just their genuine words, the conversion rate is ridiculous. Like
Okay.
obviously you don't reach as many people unless your podcast is huge, but
Right.
like it doesn't matter how many people you reach if you don't convert them over to actually purchasing your product.
Exactly.
And when it comes to these kind of brand sponsorships, people are more selective with the podcast that they choose. Like for example, since I'm a guy, I listen to podcasts with a lot of guys
Okay.
that talk about like a lot of comedians.
Mhm.
A lot of comedians have struggled with addiction, mental health issues. Everyone is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone is sponsored by um, what is another one? Liquid Death. I don't know if you've seen their advertisements, but they're basically a water company that tried to make being sober cool. So what they did,
Oh, okay. So that's like
they
me.
they sell a can that looks like a beer can with like a really cool design, really metal, but it's just sparkling water. Sparkling water with like additional flavorings like orange and
Right.
sometimes it's like a iced tea, for example.
Mhm.
And their advertisements are all really edgy and they have like a lot of cool artists, but they're all sober artists.
Okay.
And their whole thing is like a lot of these comedians and podcasters, they're people who have been entertainers for a long time and have gone through the ringer of addiction and all that. And they come out, they're like, you know what? This is something that I actually really like,
Right.
and it's helped me get better, get off of, wean off of my addictions and all this kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And
Mhm.
that's where I see that brand advertisement work, but that's not even influencer because they're not influencer. They're more content creators, right? Those people. Like when I look at
Well,
podcasters.
yeah, and also they're not influencers, sure, but they are actually influencing.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
everyone calls themselves an influencer now. I'm
Yeah.
like, have you converted a sale for your client?
Yeah, yeah. It's like you just dress up or whatever, do this
Yeah, I
stuff,
know. I'm
right?
not shitting
Yeah.
on them. I mean, like, I shouldn't. I don't shit on like. I'm not talking about that, but it's just so that word has become so loose now. That term,
Yeah,
influencer,
yeah,
that I mean, yo, if you're dressing like if you're doing whatever you want, do the most obnoxious thing ever. If I get you to collaborate or hire you or whatever, does it get me a lead? Does it get me conversions?
yeah,
And with those podcast hosts, like they're content creators, they're like brands reaching out to them, and they need their endorsements.
yeah,
So it's when I think it's a big deal when a podcast host endorses someone's brand, because then also it's another thing where people who listen to you every day then take your stuff so seriously, and then they take, because then I listen to Sujin
yeah,
and he vouches for this brand, so I'm gonna go for that brand now.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's like it's really interesting. And the problem is now we have since podcasts in the last few years are just blowing up. Everyone's got a podcast, right? But
Okay.
I think what really stands out, people talk about how do you reach like a mass audience, but I think what content creation and the innovation, especially coming from the whole YouTube side, right? We've seen that the niching down is one of the best things. Like when you niche down a podcast, like for example, with the way I like to keep it general because that's what I like,
Okay.
right? I like to talk to people, of your own background who are started their own business and are doing their like a video strategy agency, for example. But then I've also talked to like musicians, and it's it's
Yeah.
it's a very wide range of people
Good.
because the idea of the way is that to succeed in your own path, you have to look to other people's path to widen your actual view of it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I got that concept from martial arts. Been training for a long time, and I learned it when I
Are you
first.
black belt?
Well, not I do Muay Thai. There's no belts.
Okay, I don't know anything about that. I
Yeah.
was like in Karate Kids in grade 2.
Yeah, but the concept comes from a lot of Japanese martial arts. Is like I actually got it from this book called The Book of Five Rings. It's written by Miyamoto Musashi. It's a samurai from the 1500s,
Okay.
known to be one of the greatest swordsmen of all time. And he wrote this book on how to follow the way of the samurai, right? The way
Okay.
of the sword. And the first book is the Earth Scroll. And in that, the Earth Scroll is what gives you the foundation of all practices within any art. So, the way of the warrior is supported by the way of archery, and you have to be skilled in all these other aspects to really contribute to your own. Sometimes you gotta climb the mountain next to you to see how to get to the top of the one you're already climbing. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
And that was the concept for this. And I think that I find a lot of value in that. That's like some of
Yeah.
my favorite podcasts have like guests of all different types, and you learn so much. And it's the general theme is about the journey, right?
Yeah, that's a really good
The path.
analogy.
It's
Climb the
not
mountain.
mine. I don't know. I heard it from some karate, like
Oh,
some
I thought that
sensei
was
or
from the
something.
book.
The the
The
the
Climb the
the
Mountain?
mountain is not from the book.
Okay.
The to be a master of martial arts is to be a master of oneself.
Right.
That's from the book.
Okay.
But I would recommend reading. I mean, it's a very martial arty book, so he's like, do this.
And
You
you're
must.
not even sponsored by them right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Miyamoto Musashi, man. If you come back from like the dead or something, I know you're gonna get this
Jesus.
freaking this money or
His
something.
family estate
Yeah,
just
yeah.
owes you.
Well, I don't know if he had the guy was he was a little weird in other ways, but you know what? He knew how to fight. That's for sure. But yeah, I think that it's so going back to the whole niching down thing. It's really interesting to see like it's cliche, but like the whole human touch of everything always prevails in the end a lot of times, right? Like even with your strategy agency, right? Like sure you can connect them to these influencers and it might give them short-term success,
Yeah,
but
I honestly I might not end up doing that because I it also involved it could potentially hinder my relationship with those clients as well.
mhm,
I just might as well position myself as a video strategy agency, and if I do more stuff for social media, it becomes social media strategy agency, and that's not it right now. Like, you want photos? Great. I have a hired photographer. I'll
yeah.
send over a photographer. When it comes to production, I'll be your guy. But when it comes to resourcing, I can get resource actors and stuff like that. I'm meeting up with an actor in an hour. This is to have an actor act in an actual advertisement. It's not
Mhm,
like that actor is gonna be doing a collab post with them, like, "Hey guys, we
yeah,
just did a shoot with," or whatever. Like, it's authentically that company's video.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what prevails in the end, especially on the smaller scale. Like I'll go back to my own personal example with Mutual. We the follower count, right? Obviously, you shouldn't look at the follower count and like attach whatever as your only metric of success, but
Right. But it
it is
definitely is a first impression.
for sure because all those people are either people that have been to our event.
Mhm.
I think not very few, maybe only a few of them are people we followed back and we know them personally, but
Mhm.
it's all grown organically. We've never paid for an advertisement or anything
Right.
like that. It's like if your product is in person, you get the organic growth from it being there,
Right.
right? You drive people there, people will stay, right?
Mhm.
Because they're like nobody's gonna follow you if you're an events company if they've never been to your events.
Right. Exactly.
Doesn't matter. Like we try to do videos like that where we showcase who we are, and the people we support. So we had a whole profile series of artists leading up to our event, and all the videos were very adjusted to like their art style. So we had the themes within the video that they're really casual and fun and goofy and stuff for a lot of them, and some of them are a bit more serious because the people's art is more serious, and really showcasing like the variety of people that we have. I think that really benefited us in showing who we are because when people approach a company, people think of it as a separate entity that is not run by people,
Mhm.
right? And I feel like that's something we're going to face as we grow. It's something it's like suffering from success. The bigger you get, the less people realize that it's actually run by a human being.
Yeah.
um, and I think that's something we should try to continue. It's just like always be there, showing who we are, and trying not to lose that in pursuit of like
More money.
yeah,
Well,
or even just like short term success,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I always the first thing I say is when I first started, it was just
Hmm.
she was like, "Oh, I'm your friendly neighborhood video strategist." And then fortunately enough, I've been able to hire a few people
Yeah.
and then send them to clients who I've never met.
Hmm.
Um, but just locked in deals with online. And it feels so much more scarier because it's like,
Mhm.
oh, they didn't meet Adnan, and it says filmed by Adnan, but then this other
Yeah.
dude's coming, the other dude named like Max or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's just like it also because then that so it's still very personable and stuff. The people who I hire, I like go take them out to coffee first and not even ask them any questions. Like I just want to see if I like them. Like,
Yeah.
are you likable?
Yeah.
And then after that, then we discuss blah blah blah, and then we go through stuff, non compete, and everything. And then when I send them to the client, fortunately, it's been great so far with like a few hiccups, but you live and learn. And then it's just now. I think the next challenge for me is just how exactly do I scale with still trying to be friendly, neighborhood, local, but now like I and at the same time they know they're hiring a company, right?
Mhm.
But I don't. One thing is that I don't want to. I'll try not to get too bureaucratic with them, because
Yeah.
I know agencies do that. There's like 30 pages that you have to sign for a contract, and
Yeah,
like
and
I'm
they're
going
like
through so much stuff, and the client just gets overwhelmed. And a
mhm.
lot of local businesses get overwhelmed. And I'm like, no, we're not gonna overwhelm you. We're gonna make this super simple and straightforward,
Mhm.
and like it still benefits us, and it will benefit you too. And then the reason why there's so many pages with other agencies in those contracts is because 20 of those 30 or 40 pages whatever is based on like you can tell that, oh, we kind of don't trust you, so if you screw up something for us, then you're liable against it. And
Yeah.
that's also to a certain extent in like every contract, so it's the same thing in ours. But it's also like we trust you, we trust the local client, we know you'll pay on time, we know
Yeah.
you'll like you're a business, you're here like I'm not working with a local one person dude, I'm working with a local business. And I've had my fair share of certain businesses that I can just tell that okay, they may not be reliable. And it's because it's not that I don't trust them, it's just that they have so much other shit going on in their life. So just trying to understand it from their perspective. But the, they reciprocate, everyone reciprocates so far. If you just show them, if you appeal to the higher notion, to their higher standards, that you're a man of your word,
Mhm.
and then they reciprocate. So it's good shit. Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's all right, man. We've been swearing the whole time, you
Yeah.
know. um, I don't know. Do you have to go soon? It's it just hit 10:30. I don't know if
Yeah, I have a shoot at 11, but I know I came late.
No,
So
no, it's
like
fine. It's fine.
I can leave at 10:40 if you want to go on for like 10 more minutes. It's up to you.
Yeah, yeah. Just want to be just conscious of your time. I don't
Yeah,
want to
no, no,
keep you here for
absolutely.
too
No, it's
long.
perfectly fine. Do you edit this, by the way? Or does it go like
I edit some
unedited?
parts,
Right,
mostly
okay.
unedited.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so no, till 10:40 I'm good.
Okay.
So 8 more minutes, yeah, you're good. But the mutual thing is, which I'm going to do more research on later. That is incredible how far you guys have come.
Thank you. Thank you. It's like it's wild. I don't know how
Yeah.
we even got to this
Yeah, but
point.
don't stop. Like don't
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, work-life balance and all that, mental health, yes.
Hmm.
Prioritize yourself, yes. But if it's something you love, then you will eventually like you won't even feel like it's work. You're just gonna keep on giving it your
Yeah, like
all.
right now, I mean, some parts feel like work, but it's not.
Yeah,
I'm not working on it all day yet,
yeah, and yeah,
right?
exactly. And just see what is good to invest your time in. I remember I had no clients and I invested 2 weeks into making a website. I
Hmm.
mean, and like any like I was like, oh, I spent one day like focusing on font. And I'm like, did I
Oh my
have
god,
to
this
spend a day? This was like when I
is
was
so
starting out.
relatable.
This was like,
God
yeah, when I was just like doing
damn
all these little tiny things. And I'm like, I got my website out there and I'm like, shit, what the frick? I have an amazing website, but
it.
like I have nobody to
Yeah,
like. And then I
yeah,
was like, okay, I gotta get out there. And now I have to, now I feel like I gotta get back into my website because I've been doing so much. Now I need to update it. But now I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to update it myself. I'll just I hired a dude to do it for me. So eventually that's the whole point of scaling that. I think the next challenge, like you have 5 people, so that's good.
hmm
For me, it's like it's still me alone, and then I hire people, and I don't have anyone full time, but it's just like part time, or I have summer interns. I have 2 summer interns, but it's just really complicated when it comes to trusting someone else to do so much for you.
yeah. Especially when it's something like when you started on your own, and it was always something that like it was just you,
Yeah, it
and
was
it's
just me.
especially when it's hard to relinquish that like power
Yeah,
to somebody else, like,
exactly. And
and
just a fear of like I hope they don't screw it up. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and that's why it makes sense. Like you gotta understand the person rather than
yeah,
just look at the resume. That's a really smart way of going about it, and I think
yeah. You need to be likable, dude. Like, if you go to the client and you don't talk to the client properly, and you just be
oh
like,
yeah,
"Yo,
especially if you're
show me
client
this."
facing, there's
Yeah,
no
you're client
chance you
facing,
could.
exactly. And if I find out that you're shy or you don't talk or you go to a shoot and you're just like, okay, what do I do? No, like I need someone to take action. Um, but there are a lot of people like that. It's just learning to let go. But it's
Yeah,
good stuff. It then it becomes more relaxed for myself as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you're not there for every single part of it. You can actually like worry about the long term. When you're so caught. Sometimes we get, even us with our 5 people, we get so caught up in the details and stuff, right? It's like sometimes we need to sit back and like look at the big picture rather than the 1 week that we're focusing on, right? Of course, there's things that are really pertinent in like that time frame, but some stuff we worry about, like, oh my god, the relationship with this single vendor, they're gonna be mad about they didn't get in because their friend wasn't good enough. They wanted a table with their friend, and
Oh,
oh my, we've had so many issues like that. I can't delve into it,
yeah.
right? But it's like there's so many things where sometimes with a lot of people, and like, what if they like, they get pissed off and they talk smack about people because
Yeah, because then
it's
you
so
elevate, you exaggerate it to such a high. Like, what if this client, like, what if this person ruins everything? But it's not
yeah.
the case.
It's
Not
like, dude, there's like we've had in total 500 people apply in for all 3 events. We've only been able we have a literally a limited capacity of people,
right.
like a 70 people. So we've had to reject a lot of people. It's like, really, is one rejection going to make that big of a difference?
Exactly.
Like, just because we may know them and they might feel bad. Also, that's the one thing. I mean, this is me being a little pissed off. I don't know, but it's just like when people try to utilize, like, listen, nobody, all the 4 other people who are also artists, like visual artists, like I'm not a visual, I'm a musician,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody tabled at any of our own events. We didn't sell any of our own stuff. And people are trying to come to us. People always try to do this. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, give me a favor, man. I know you. I can get it. And it's like, we have to be objective as objective as
What
possible
do you
when we
mean? Give
look.
me a fair like.
Like when people apply, for example, we have 70 spots. We got 100, 200 applicants, for
Right.
example. And like people's art is just not the right thing for the event, or it's not as what we're looking for,
Right.
but
Oh, and then
they're
they're
like,
willing to
why'd you
pay.
reject me, bro? I'm like your friend and stuff. And it's
Oh,
like, if we did that, then we just be like every other event that just only lets their friends in. You know what I mean? Like, we have to try our best to be objective. And it's like let's be it's not about us. It's about giving opportunity for other people, because
yeah.
we
It's
have a
your
limit on how
yeah.
many times you
Exactly.
can table in a row. And that helps us bring in new people, right? Because that's the whole problem, is that the same cycle of people over and over and over again, and no new person gets opportunity,
Yeah. Exactly.
right? Like, of course,
Exactly.
we do the thing where you can apply again after your third time, but you just can't go for the fourth time in a row. So you go for 3 events. The next event you can't apply. Like, we won't accept you if you apply. But then the one following that you can apply. It
Where
restarts.
do people sign up?
So they go to. We usually post them on our link tree, like our Instagram.
Mm,
They go through. They submit their through like a type form, and we review it
okay.
every single submission. Like,
Wow.
that's something we got to figure out how we're going to deal with in the future. But I feel like we're still going to have to review them all individually.
Yeah. I mean, you'll definitely have more people to review them.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think it's almost time for you to go. So
Yeah.
I'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a great
Absolutely. Thank
conversation.
you for having me. This is my first time being in front of the camera, like for someone else, so it's kind of
Oh
surreal.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so. Yeah, as a person who's
Yeah.
always in the production side, I guess.
Yeah. Always behind the camera.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank
It's
you for
crazy.
coming on again.
Absolutely. This was amazing, by the way. I
Thank
really
you. Thank
enjoyed
you.
this. I can't wait to not only watch this episode, but also I'm so much more interested in your venture with your 4 other founders.
Yeah, for
I
sure. I'll
think it's
give you
gonna
our
be
card
huge.
after.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. No, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be incredible. Yeah.
I hope so.
It's
As
gonna
long as we
scale.
work towards
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Just don't waste time.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Wasting
Don't
too
waste
much time
time.
these days.
Yeah, I know. I mean, have fun in your 20s and all that, but
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like you don't want to be in your mid 30s with like a kid and a wife and being like, shit, what if I had done this that time
Mm-hmm,
when
mm-hmm.
I did have all the time in the world.
Yeah, yeah,
Time is the one thing you can never get back, bro. And I sometimes still I was like, damn, yesterday I could have done this, but I mean, my girlfriend tells me I shouldn't beat myself over it so many times. But yeah, it
yeah.
is what it is. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Thank you,
Beautiful.
Adnan. If you guys like this episode, you know what to do. Like it, share it. Check out Adnan's stuff, Film by Adnan. It's Film by Adnan and everything, I would
It's
assume.
all filmed by Adnan. Um, if you need videos for your business, I'm your guy.
Yeah, go check him out.
Beautiful.
He'll make some quality stuff for you. I've seen a lot of his stuff, and it's really good.
Perfect.
Um,
Perfect.
so yeah, I'll see you guys next week, and y'all know what to do. Never stray from your way.